Hey guys, it's Toniko Pantoja, and can you believe it? It's been 10 years since I decided to start uploading stuff to my YouTube channel. And around that time, I've already had 2 years of experience working for the animation industry. I've been in this animation business for about 12 years now. And when I started my animation career, I definitely had these goals for myself. And some of these goals were very ambitious, and I'll talk about that soon. Now, the reason why I want to make this video is I do want to talk about how much I've changed within these 12 years, whether I've achieved some of these goals or not, or if my goals have shifted in general. Now, I wanted to make this video for my past self, for my future self, for people who are interested in getting into the animation business or career with goals of their own, or fellow animators who've been at it for quite a while as well, and see if they relate to anything that I have to say. Now, I will also say that the things I valued and believed in during my 20s have shifted over time, and I think that's the biggest difference between my 20s and my 30s. I started to value different things. And I do want to talk about that while talking about the goals that I've had early on in my career and just talk about how I feel about them now. Whether I achieved them, whether I didn't achieve them, or if I replaced it, what did I replace that with? I think there was a part of me that wanted to be somewhat famous or to be looked up at and to be well known. And the thing is, I have built a following for myself. I tend to get recognized through my voice, through my name, and sometimes through people just looking at my face. But it's nothing like having 1 million followers, being like an online superstar or whatever that is. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because back then I was confusing the sense of belonging with being well known by many people. I've learned over time that I'm someone who does appreciate smaller communities or people that I know in real life and people that are close to me. And that's not me dismissing the following that I've gained, because I think those things have given me a place to express myself, to be heard, as well as to give me potential opportunities later down the line. That's not always related to the industry. Something that I will also say that because I have built a following and sort of like this recognition, I can also say that I've been treated differently based on sort of my social reputation, where I noticed people within the animation community treated me differently from a lot of other people because of my social media reputation. Some of it worked in my favor, and some of it, well, I got super judged on and criticized for it. Now, with that being said, I can safely say, and I'm very oblivious by the way, but I can safely say that my name is recognized by people within the animation community. Not everyone knows me, but I can also safely say that a lot of people do know my name and know what I do. And some of them do follow what I have to say. And because of that, I've become a lot more careful with what I say online or publicly. I wanted to be involved in a lot of really cool projects and to be prolific myself, like having done and produced a lot of work for myself, and again, being involved with a lot of really prestigious projects. So I will say that I've explored both independent animation, independent projects, or mainstream animation. I've worked with children's productions, I've worked with adult animation. One of my earlier experiences in the animation industry was helping out with a VeggieTales straight-to-DVD special, which actually I'm very proud of. And eventually I moved on to other projects, especially with DreamWorks. I was involved with the Dragon series, the Croods, and then eventually I worked on Kipo. I worked on other productions since then. Eventually making my way to, let's say, Blue Eye Samurai and Invincible, which were my first adult animation. And then I would go back to children's cartoons. So I've done a lot of different things, and some of these projects were quote-unquote prestigious. So in some ways, I have achieved those goals, but I will also say that some of these productions, even the productions that people want to be involved with, people love it, they look up at certain productions. And one thing you experience within the animation industry is how toxic some of these productions can get. Like even a production that's like super well respected or prestigious or looked up at, I had some of the worst times on it. And you kind of have to be careful about aligning your identity to being involved with only cool, prestigious projects, because a lot of those studios or projects don't even care about your well-being. And fortunately, I've always valued the personal project because, my own work feels more like me versus the productions that I've been involved with. Like with those other productions, I'm more of a helping hand or a cog in a bigger machine. And, honestly, I'm okay with that because I have my own stuff that gives me that sense of creative fulfillment and purpose. And I think this sort of sentiment goes with like also being involved with projects where all the cool people are. Like, I want to work with this guy because he's really awesome, or he has a good reputation, or he's super badass and really skilled. Like, they're superstars in the field. But then, you work with some of them and they turn out to be crappy people. And as I grow older, I don't have a lot of time for bullshit, so I've honestly been spending way more time on fostering a good community more so than how prestigious or how cool the project is. Now, the next one I want to talk about is there was a part of me that really wanted to be a lead, a supervisor, or a director. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I had a lot of different feelings for this goal. Like, there's a part of me that definitely wanted the vanity of, being a lead or director in my field, like that overall status in my career. And another thing that I told myself is that if I become a director, I'm going to learn a lot of things, more so than just being another workforce. So the people that I went to school with, started the industry with, they're all directors now, they're all supervisors, whereas, I kind of stayed at my lane. Now, did I eventually achieve this goal of, let's say, becoming a lead? Kind of, but it's mostly for like independent projects, and that's a whole beast of its own. Leadership is a whole other skill set. It's not just about my creative vision, it's about delegation, scheduling, making tough decisions. Oh, and just having your schedule fully booked. Like all my friends who are directors and supervisors at big studios, they are so busy and jam-packed. Like there was one time I went to my friend's office, I took a glance of his calendar, and I'm like, thank God I can just go home after 6 p.m. latest. And over time, I've learned to be okay with, let's say, just being a helping hand or being an artist for another person's vision, because it allows me to do my job. And like I've said before and many times, my own personal work, my own personal projects allows me to have that creative fulfillment. And if I wanted to, let's say, direct a team, I can hire people for my personal project. When I teach a class, that's almost pretty much directing a team. And if I were given, let's say, a directing or supervision role for, let's say, a studio or a production, I will always consider it, but it's not something where I'm like, I have to get this or else. It's nothing like that anymore. When I was younger, I felt like I needed to do that. Nowadays, it's more like, if there's an opportunity, I will consider it. Maybe I'll low-key volunteer for that, but I'm not fighting tooth and nail for that kind of position, because I know it's a job that's heavy with delegation. One of the biggest goals that I've had when I started in the industry was to hopefully get nominated or to win an Oscar or Academy Award or something in the same vein, like a prestigious award for whatever work that I did. Now, of course, there are many reasons for this goal. One, of course, recognition. When you've been recognized for something prestigious, that can give you other bigger opportunities later down the line. Two is that if I got something as prestigious as these awards, it would make stuff like immigration and the sort of visa applications and the green card application much smoother back then. So I will talk about this in the future, but I was actually storyboarding a 35-minute short film that I was gonna hopefully send it off to film festivals and things like that. And I was only making that film hoping to get that award. Now, something that I will also say was that when I was working on this short film, I was maturing faster than the project. Like, a lot of the goals did not align with me anymore. So when that happened, the purpose of making the short film was fading. Now, I did win some smaller awards for smaller film festivals. And something that I started to appreciate even more was that when I shared my finished films online, it was mostly the appreciation that I got from others that made my day, more so than having this prestigious award. Now, technically, I did get nominated for an Annie Award, which is basically a really small Oscar equivalent award, but just for animation. So it's really niche and low key. But it was recognized enough where I could use it for visa cases or green card cases. Now, there's a part of me that still wants to make a short film that's for, let's say, film circuits or film festivals and hopes to get nominated for something prestigious. There's a little part of me for that, but I think I would have a very different approach to things now rather than trying to blow my wad on this one thing. But there's a part of me that also just wants to make really casual, funny, smaller films that everyone can enjoy, and I'd rather build something healthy out of that. Now, the next goal that I want to talk about was to be this showrunner or to direct a film that I came up with and that I wrote. And I have show ideas and films that I eventually want to pursue, or it'll just be in the back of my mind forever. I don't know. I think the reason why I wanted to do that or to be a showrunner was, there was a part of me that wants that vanity, like to be looked up at, to have that status symbol or reputation that I have my own, production or my own show or movie. And of course, to have a show that I came up with get made. Now, I've pitched to studios and I've pitched to producers and executives, and a lot of them did not go well. I think a lot of people were confused with what I was going for. And I would always be so depressed about that because I always felt like I failed big time, that I wasn't good enough to have my own thing. Now, something about pitching and dealing with studios is that you also get a whiff of politics. There's a lot of luck factor to it. Like maybe you have a great idea, but it's not the right time or the right place. Like maybe my ideas aren't good for, let's say, quote unquote, American productions. I went to school with people who are now showrunners, or I'm friends with people who have become showrunners or feature film directors or producers or execs. And just hearing from their perspective about the politics that they had to deal with sounds like a really rough time, to the point where some of those politics actually affected their original vision or their own creative voice for it to be changed into something that doesn't really represent them. And of course, with politics and studio drama, things get canceled or shelved or dropped because there's a lot of circumstances that are out of your control. So instead of trying to pitch things, I started just, focusing on making things for myself, whether it's little comics, whether it's like little short films. I think doing that helps me get a better sense of who I am, what my voice is, and sort of my creative itch. And it helped me big time because a few months ago, I pitched a show idea to someone and there was laughter. There was a lot of agreeing or questions. And it was such a cool conversation. Like the people that I pitched to really, really liked the idea. I don't think it's going to get made. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, or maybe I'll hear back about it years down the line. But, it was kind of cool to see how much my creative voice changed, as well as sort of my salesmanship skills. I don't know. But yeah, the thing is, I pitched a project, and if it goes somewhere, cool. If it doesn't go somewhere, that's also cool. Maybe writing a show isn't for me, but that's not going to stop me from expressing or creating my own work. When I started in this industry, there was a part of me that wanted to be sought out for, to be wanted. I wanted every studio to keep reaching out to me for work. At the same time, a part of me wanted to be the type of guy that freelances for every studio. And I know people like that who are freelancing for different projects and features in a year, and their name is basically in every credit of a movie or show that was released that year. So I'm not going to talk about, let's say, studios hiring you, because again, that's a circumstance that I know that I can't control. And spoiler alert, I don't get reached out to many different studios all at the same time. So no, I have not made that goal yet. But let's say a lot of different studios did reach out to me and I have a choice to take on the work. I've learned that I'm the type of person who can't really do that. I realized that I'm better just working on one project and that's my full time, because I want to have room for my own personal work. And if I were to accept another freelance, it makes it very hard to manage, because I know that I'm the type of person that takes forever to adapt to a project. So I can't imagine what it's like freelancing for 3 or 4 or 5 different projects all at the same time, because I just don't work like that. Now, I'll probably make another video about, freelancing for multiple projects and why it may or may not be a good idea in the future, but I just learned that I'm not equipped to freelance for so many different types of productions all at the same time. So yeah, I would say that a lot of my viewpoints in what I deem important in my life has changed quite considerably. I think the biggest things that I focus on now is the community that I have at hand and how I would want to foster the community that is close to me. I try not to worry about things that are out of my control. I think small, and the more I think small and the more I'm able to achieve small goals, the more I make it a healthy habit. It's not easy and I still fail time to time, but I feel like I'm in a much happier place. Speaking for my YouTube channel, the reason why I started my YouTube channel was to share whatever I learned throughout my journey. And I will still share a lot of that stuff on my YouTube channel, whether it's animation related, whether it's artistic goals and stuff like that. I'll always talk about that stuff because I find fulfillment in sharing that with you guys. I thought this YouTube channel was going to be like a Jazz Draws or something big, something famous and popular, but I just don't have the stomach or the energy for that. It's not who I am. I enjoy low-key channels where we just talk about stuff, and I kind of want to contribute to that space too. So that's all I wanted to talk about. It's been 10 years since I've had this YouTube channel, or 10 years since I actually started uploading this continuously, and 12 years plus within the animation industry. Anyways, that's all. Bye. Interested in learning hand-drawn animation or learning how to finish an animated shot from beginning to end? Have a look at the store where you'll find the complete Introduction to 2D Animation video course, tutorials, and other resources. Learn classical animation approaches, drawing, lectures, techniques, and other process videos. Visit the store through the link in the description below.